Greetings and welcome to the first episode of PixlRiot. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We're gonna have so much fun today. So pull up a chair, make yourself comfortable, and stay a while. Now, for a long while, there's been a great debate over the relative artsiness of video games. Can they be considered art, or are they simply tools used by people to waste time, or maybe ignore a stack of bills that might have to be paid? Well, after reviewing some of the following examples, you may find that video games can be just as much a statement of art or an expose of the human condition that even the greatest works of art can be. So, in no particular order, here's 10 examples that prove video games are art. To define artsy video game, these are games that break the standards of video game storytelling. They create a wholly new experience and sometimes even delve into the non-conceptual. Now, this is not a be-all, end-all list or anything like that. Yes, it is. But a comprehensive list of my favorite examples of the genre. I'm right and everybody else is wrong. And it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway because I love the way my voice sounds. But we are entering spoiler territory. Number 10, Year Walk. Kicking off this list is a game that envelops the gamer in Swedish folklore. You are a young child coming into their own, and tradition dictates you must complete your mythical year walk to enter adulthood. As depicted through real history, the year walk is a sacred tradition that is said to expose the traveler's inner heart. Now, this is a game that's very akin to stories like Hansel and Gretel or Little Red Riding Hood. The darker tone and two-dimensional visual aesthetics of this game very much feel like they were ripped right out of a child's storybook. This game really drops you in out of nowhere, but like a modern art masterpiece, the stunning visuals and eerily captivating atmosphere forces you to stay. I mean, just take a look at some of these moments. I mean, every second of this game is a captivating and memorable experience, for better or for worse. I will be seeing that doll in my nightmares. A player experiencing this game will find that, as the game reveals the true heart of the character, by the game's conclusion it even reveals your own. Year Walk operates on several levels. Just as the character is struggling to understand his world, so too does the player, as you engage with and overcome supernatural creatures through their individual puzzles. And the end is up to your own interpretation. I mean, this individualized experience really captures the spirit of what art is, where each person playing can come away with something different. And the score of this game? I mean, talk about atmospheric. I seriously just ate up that soundtrack. If you want to experience a visual storybook, then this is definitely the game for you. The visuals are not only haunting, but if you're as effed up in the head as I am, then they are intriguing to no end. Number 9, Psychonauts. Now, anyone who has played this game will know how Psychonauts pushes the genre. I mean, just listen to this premise. You are Raz, gifted child psychic from a circus family that runs away to a government facility disguised as a summer camp where you enter the subconscious minds of people around you to explore surreal worlds and end up battling psychic animals, destroy a city as a giant rampaging monster, and steal back the brains of your friends from a crazed dentist. A really captivating part of the game was guessing what each character's mindscape would look like. The uptight counselor had a mind that was an efficient, transforming, but always precise cube. The hippie counselor had an expectedly trippy mind, but you stumble onto a deep, dark secret that she tries to lock away and hide from everyone. Even the paranoid security guard had a mind filled with whispering men in black talking about conspiracies in a twisted, crumbling American idealistic suburb. Each brain becomes its own surreal portrait, very much akin to Raphael Obinsky, or by one of my favorite surreal landscape artists, Jacek Yerka. This game becomes art as it molds into a dissection of how the human mind operates, as we see the physical manifestation of thought and ideas. I mean, we get to see the face of fear, repressed emotions, and self-loathing, and it makes us want to turn around and figure out our own minds with our new psychological arsenal. This game has some really great character writing as well. Even the smaller characters that have barely any screen time have very well developed personalities. It really shows what a creative mind can do with vision and artistic freedom. If you haven't played this yet, then seriously, what are you doing with your life? Buy it, rent it, I don't care. Just go play it. Seriously, go. Go right now. I'll wait right here. You just go. See? Wasn't that great? I mean, just like those colors and the character design? God, I am so sick of brown in gaming. Like, give me all those colors again, right? They were gorgeous. Remember when games used to be fun to play and to look at? Let's get back to that. I mean, the only problem with this game is the sometimes dodgy gameplay mechanics and difficulty curve that just straight up explodes toward the end of the game. Oh, and the fact that no one bought this masterpiece when it was launched. Seriously, how will developers know to push the medium of gaming if we all decide not to buy gems like this? Also, you can totally set squirrels on fire with your mind. Number 8. Portal. Look at that booty. That's a nice booty. Oh, moving on. Imagine a first-person shooter where you never actually shoot anything. Sounds pretty exciting, right? You wake up with no real understanding of where you are or why you're there. I mean, not the most original setup, but as you move forward, you learn how truly trapped you are as a human guinea pig to a sadistic AI. I mean, honestly, everything that needs to be said about this game has been said 1,000 times before. It's a physics-based puzzle with clever writing and tight, highly engaging gameplay. But that's not what makes this game innovative and artistic. What makes this game art is how the player interacts with the environment. I mean, the more you dig, the more the story is revealed. I put it on this list though because the method of solving the puzzles is so unique that it would have made the game in and of itself. But combining that with a darkly hilarious antagonist that is also a cold, unfeeling, and yet somehow very motherly AI, and you have absolute gold. There's really nothing bad I can say about it. And for lore-obsessed fat dorky weirdos like me, there is plenty of hidden material that will get your nerd boner a-ragin'. Schools are even teaching physics to kids with this game. Like, how awesome is that? If you haven't played it, then like, really, are you a real person? You got your basic rules to being a human being, like, you know, you gotta sleep, you gotta eat, you gotta drink every now and again, and then you gotta play Portal. Like, that's just being a human being means that you played Portal. This game isn't particularly long, but it is just the perfect length. I mean, it never seems to drag, and the ending is a perfect end to the perfect story. So play it. The end. Next. Number 7. Proteus. Now, this is probably the most relaxing experience I've ever had with a game in my entire life. In the same way that games like Minecraft play with mixing the visuals of retro 2D and modern 3D games, Proteus creates a three-dimensional world to explore, but also fills it with two-dimensional objects. So this game starts out just like my typical Saturday night. You wake up and find yourself in the middle of the ocean with only a single island to travel towards. And as you take your first steps onto land, you really start to wonder about your life choices up to this point in time. Honestly, there's not much to be said about this game, because there is really not much to it. If something looks interesting, you walk to it, and some junk might happen. I found that trying to explain what was happening only subtracted from the experience. You're really just exploring a surreal world, trying to make sense of it all, very much like a dream that you just can't seem to get out of. All the while your interactions with the environment change the soundtrack. Now, if I were trying to sound smart, I would definitely say that this game deconstructs the medium of what a video game is. It really feels like you're traveling in an abstract painting made just for you. But I mean, that's only speculation. If this were my painting, it might be a little bit different. Like, if you are ever feeling depressed or, like, down, you had a hard day at work, anything, seriously, this game will just relax you to no end. Number 6. The Deer God. Now, have you ever gone for a run through the woods? If so, then you know exactly how this game feels. Well, aside from the premise. You are a man punished for being the world's thickest chode for shooting a deer. I mean, this big old deer god got super pissed at you and punished you by making you live life as a deer. See, Dad, this is why I don't kill any animals, because you never know what kind of deity you're going to offend. Sorry for being such a disappointment. Apparently you are just the biggest asshole out there, though, because all these other hunters get a pass? I mean, maybe when they shoot at me, they're being secretly very polite about it? Now, just like in real life, you're dropped in virtually no direction other than the gamer instinct of moving right. Oh, and you sure do move right. A whole lot of moving left to right. And jumping. Oh, and just like in real life, there are no save points or do-overs, so get ready to die a whole lot. But I mean, you need to eat too sometimes. And pork. You pork every dough in sight. Just like in real life, right? Am I right, fellas? I mean, I had no idea why I was porking so much, but something honestly just compelled me to. Maybe curiosity? And again, in a perfect mirroring of real life, you pretty much get the short end of the stick in every single way. Yeah, I mean, magic-y stuff happens sometimes, but I have a hard time seeing how I was the only person deserving of godly wrath. Pretty much every other animal wants to wear your ass as a pair of doughy-eyed mittens, even other deer. I guess those other deer were either the very worst that humanity had to offer, or the deer world has very different standards of etiquette. Maybe impaling each other is how deer say hello. And if that's the case, how is me shooting a deer instead of beating it to death like other deer do to me, seen as a terrible crime by a deer god who is also a probably violent deer? Bottom line, deer are assholes. But I mean, this game is a beautiful combination of really stunning visuals and a really beautiful score. And if you can get past the insanely hard difficulty as you try to dodge literally everything in the woods, then, I mean, this game could be something for you. I definitely enjoyed my experiences with it. Number 5. Shadow of the Colossus. No, aggro, the other way. No, the other way. Now, how is this game art, you ask? Well, the game does a really great job of pulling you into the environment. It creates contemplative voids in sound and action that draw you into the impressively beautiful scenery, and challenges the morality of murdering these giant creatures to save your princess. As you move through the game, you really do question your actions, as you come to realize more and more that these creatures feel like innocent children that you are taking out in your selfish quest. Is it truly right for you to wipe out these creatures in order to save this princess, who honestly is like a 7? Like a generous 7? And as you finish each kill, a torrent of black, evil-looking gross stuff leaps out of the corpse and enters your body in a visibly painful way. Ask yourself, is that the conclusion of a morally justified triumph? Rape by gross evil black tentacle thingies? I mean, these giants' deaths hurt even more because I may or may not feel a kinship with these giant, lumbering, dopey, slow idiots. These colossi are designed beautifully, each one looking like a statue that has been part of the earth, with wildlife overtaking their forms. But honestly, the broad, sweeping landscapes look like they were taken right out of a piece of modern art. I mean, seriously, look at these side by side. I bet you couldn't even tell me which one of these is the game and which one of these is a painting. Number 4. Minecraft. Oh god. Freaking Minecraft? Minecraft? I thought we were being original with this. Okay, so I'm talking about more than just graphics with this one. Yes, we're all aware of how polarizing the graphics of this game were. Half the people were like, oh, it's cool and retro, and the other half were like, boo, it's not cool and retro. But I want to talk more about what this game allows in people. This game can be a cool survival game with horror elements, where everything that isn't you wants to eat you whole, but when you turn that off and enter creative mode, this game really shines. Minecraft creates a 3D sandbox, free of material needs. People have created massive, complex structures within the confines of this ever-expansive digital world. Someone made a scale replica of the Mines of Moria. Are you freaking kidding me? A working 16-bit computer. Seriously, like, why isn't this guy out there solving world hunger? It creates this pseudo-utopia where all resources are just a click away. In the future, when we have mastered the Star Trek replicator technology, we can possibly see a similar boom in science and art. Number 3, 140. It's a game about shapes. Woohoo! Now talk about an interesting approach to game visuals. 140 is a game that really deconstructs the adventure platformer into its most basic elements and presents them in a captivating audiovisual manner. It's a rare treat when a game can engage other senses and effectively incorporate them into gameplay experiences. Except that time I played Rotten Fish Simulator. As you stumble through surprisingly difficult puzzles, you come to rely on your sense of sound to aid you in timing jumps and engaging your environment, what little there is of one. It is almost as if you are platforming through the audio wave of someone's stereo. It is that surreal. I mean, the unique visuals that marry beautifully to the music are highly engaging. An outsider looking in might think this game looks a little bit on the bland side, but actually playing it becomes all-consuming. I mean, just watch this boss fight. Isn't that cool? So if you are looking for a platforming experience with visuals that are both captivating but painfully simple, and a soundtrack that almost becomes your player too, then check this game out. You won't be disappointed. Number 2, LSD Dream Emulator. What's that? What's that? Oh my god, what's that? Oh my god, what is that? Okay, so like, have you ever taken really bad PCP at the shadiest of raves and then ridden that colorful trip straight to hell? Yeah, well, apparently you made a video game along the way. So yeah, this game is something else. I mean, how much could you expect with a game that has a name like that? Let's just say, like, the name and the game. It's like a one-for-one. There is, like, no deviating from that title. You hear that name, you think one thing, and the thing you think is the thing. What you see is really what you get with this one. And like, for most of this, you don't even know what the hell you're seeing. It's actually kind of horrifying on a primal level, really. I've had several nightmares after playing through this game. Like, I hesitate to even call this a game. It is more so just an experience, and you need to just roll with it. Do not have any expectations going in. But I honestly found myself immersed in each unsettling world, stumbling from set piece to set piece out of a pure sense of curiosity. I really found myself wanting to move further and further so I could see what the next nightmare was like. This game really is a avant-garde art house type of thing. The artistic value of this game really shows in the experience of exploring, just like a dream where nothing can make sense and yet everything can make sense. Artwork that I would consider to be very reminiscent of this game would be surrealist painters like Salvador Dali, where the experience of the medium is based entirely in emotion and psychology. If there was a game shown at a snobby hipster gallery opening, this would most certainly be there. Number 1. Papers, Please. You know what I look for in a game? Filing papers. Sitting in one spot, not going anywhere, and just filing papers. Filing over and over. Because I definitely do not get enough of that in real life. You are a border crossing guard on patrol in your booth in a communist country, and it is your job to look at people's passports and decide whether or not they get in. But the rules are constantly changing. First they need a passport, then a license to travel, then a license to work, and a license to eat and breathe and Skype with the homeboys, until they are literally handing you a messy collage of every single scrap of paper that has had their name written on it in the last 20 years. and you have to review it all, locate any discrepancies, and decide to let them in or not. But the challenge really comes in when you have to take care of your family on a salary that is entirely based on how many people you process. You lose money if you let in people who show discrepancies in their paperwork, or who didn't use the sparkly glue when making their collages. Just imagine the frustration of watching the final seconds of your day trickle away while you scope the nutsacks or asses of the weirdest looking people imaginable because of a typo on their passport. The only problem is that there's some invisible checkpoint after yours that issues citations on your mistakes, so you sort of wonder why you're even there in the first place. The artsy side of this game is less about the visuals, though they are quite unique, and more about the choices, the morality of the issues that you're presented with. I mean, let your family go hungry and take a fine from your pay in order to reunite a family? Like never before in a game has it been so difficult to stay a good person. You really have to commit to your moral code and take the backlash. If you survive the game, I mean, you feel extra triumphant for not needing to sacrifice your ethics in spite of constant threats and harassment from your superiors and men with guns who are always watching. You are given the choices of creating a better tomorrow or just try to take care of you and your family. You become a pivotal piece in many stories and lives, and the outcomes are just as difficult and large as the choices. Though I would pick this game over Big Gun Warp Round Apocalypse any day. If you want a truly unique experience that has the most boring sounding premise of all time, then really, you need to try out Papers, Please. You will not be disappointed. Well, thank you for watching my very first episode of PixlRiot. Hopefully you learned something, or maybe I opened up your mind to the possibility of video games being a form of art. And I look forward to bringing you more fun content in the future. Well, thanks for watching the final episode of PixlRiot. I suppose we should take this as an opportunity to look back on the fond memories of the show. Well, this has been Nico logging off for the final time. Thanks for sticking around. This show wouldn't have been possible without viewers like you. So I hope that you all go forward and have wonderful, fruitful lives. And hey, maybe we'll see each other around sometime. I'll miss you. Hey, thanks for watching the first episode of PixlRiot. It's been a long time in the making, so I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, throw me a like or subscribe. I really appreciate it. If you want more from me, you can follow me on Twitter or like my Facebook page. Links are in the description. See you around.